Dearest Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as I should. To give and not to count the cost. To fight and not to heed the wounds. To toil and not to seek for rest. To labor and ask not for reward. Saved out of knowing that I do your most holy will. Dearest Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as I should. To give and not to count the cost. To fight and not to heed the wounds. To toil and not to seek for rest. To labor and ask not for reward. Saved out of knowing that I do your most holy will.
Dear freshman scholars, I warmly welcome you all to Xavier Ateneo for school year 2020-2021. Your scholarship is actually God's blessing to you and your family. And as such, it demands hard work and effort on your part. The world we are in today is in a crisis brought by the pandemic. And despite of the crisis, I would encourage all of you to remain positive, resilient, and adaptive, especially on the online learning, which is the mode of teaching and learning that we are adopting today. This annual orientation is actually intended for you to familiarize the benefits and the rules and guidelines, and also the responsibilities that you need to know as a scholar. Okay, let me introduce to you right now the dynamic staff that we have in our admission and aid office. Our office actually serves the admission and at the same time the scholarship. Under the admission service, we have Miss Finland Arances and also Miss Orlin Neri Turillo. On the scholarship service, we have Mr. Angel Baliar, who is the scholarship personnel, and he is actually assisted by Miss Karen Amila, his administrative staff. Let us continue with the orientation proper now. Okay, let me call in Mr. Angel Baliar, our scholarship personnel.
Thank you so much for that, Sir Ferdy. Again, as mentioned by our director, we all welcome you here in Xavier Ateneo, and then we wish you all the best in your academic journey here. So now, I will be discussing the orientation proper. First, I would like to discuss the different scholarship grants being administered here in Xavier University. We have, first of all, the entrance exam scholarships. These are granted to the top ranking entrance exam takers. So these are the top 100. These scholarships are automatically granted, so we do not, and we're looking into the financial capability of the student. Second, we have grants and aid. Grants and aid, in essence, is financial help. So with this one, we look into or we consider the income of the family of the student. I will be discussing more later on about this grants and aid. Scholarship for honor students. We are offering scholarships for top 1 and 2 for those who graduated in senior high school as class valedictorian or salutatorian. So these scholars do not necessarily be among the top notchers, so long as they graduated as top 1 or 2 in the entire batch of at least 90 graduates. Fourth is an academic excellence scholarship. This is actually offered only when you are an upperclassman, because the requirement here is that the student must have maintained a QPI of 3.0 or B for 2 consecutive semesters. So this one, we are granting the scholarship to upperclassmen who exemplified good academic records. But then, due to budgetary requirements, while grades may have qualified you for the scholarship, the applicants will be ranked according to financial need. Fourth is externally funded scholarships. Xavier University has been partnering with private entities, foundations, individuals who are extending their generosity to deserving students. To mention just a few, we have UTFI, it's University of Tennessee Foundation Incorporated. We have Philippine and Science Development Foundation. We have Del Monte Foundation. We have Rubisco, just to mention a few. I believe that some of you are watching now are recipients of these scholarships. So to continue, I would also like to discuss the composition of school fees. I included this in our presentation. While this is really a finance concern, I would like to share it with you for you to appreciate, for you to be able to realize the coverage that you are enjoying. So basically, our total school fees is composed of tuition, matriculation, laboratory fees, and other fees. Well, tuition here is the largest chunk. It's the, let's say, probably about 70 or 80% of the total school fees. Finance office will actually be able to explain this more, but I just mentioned this so that again you'll be able to appreciate the scholarship grants that you are enjoying. So first, as mentioned, the entrance exam scholarships have different titles and are categorized into 4. First is the President Scholarship. President Scholarship are those who belong to the top 1 and 15. They are really those who ranked first or topmost during the entrance exam, qualifying exam. Merit Scholarship, so the next 15, 16 to 30. Next is the Academic Scholarship, the top 31 to 100. And then lastly, the St. Francis Xavier Scholarship, or it's a grant in aid. Those whose score is 80% and above are considered for this grant in aid for the St. Francis Xavier Scholarship. Although none of them again are granted because we are screening them based on income of the family. So here, I will be discussing the President's Scholarship first. The coverage is practically 100% of the total school fees. You'll be enjoying full tuition, full matriculation, laboratory fees, and other fees. Plus, as a reward of doing very well during the entrance exam, you have a 10,000 allowance worth of uniforms and books. So it can be charged or it can be reimbursed when you have already purchased it. My colleague here will be discussing later on the process. Maintaining QPI. So in return, since you are granted with a very generous scholarship, you will have to maintain a QPI because your scholarship is renewable in each semester. So your requirement will be 3.0 or B. That QPI must be met in each semester for you to be able to continue your scholarship on the following semester. Merit scholarship is practically also covering the entire school fees. 100%. The difference that they don't have the allowance. And QPI requirement is also the same, 3.0 or B. Academic scholarship, remember the top 31 to 100, we are covering full tuition and full matriculation. None for allowance, and then QPI is 2.75 or B. St. Francis Xavier Scholarship, again, it's a financial aid that we are granting to those whose score is 80% and above, and then whose family income is not above 500,000 annually. So this is for us to establish the financial need because again, SFX is a financial aid. This is not automatically granted. So the coverage here is 25,000 per semester. Allowance is actually none also. And QPI is 2.5 or B man. Now, the St. Ignatius Scholarship for top 1 and 2, again, those who graduated with honors during their senior high school, their scholarship will cover full tuition and full matriculation. They don't have an allowance. And then the QPI is 2.75 or B. Now, let's proceed to the externally funded scholarships. As mentioned, we have corporations and foundations and individuals who would like to help. So, we follow the standards of the university. The requirement for QPI is aligned to the externally funded scholarships. No? What we mean by that? For example, Del Monte Foundation Incorporated, they are offering or they are covering the entire school fees. So it follows that the grantees of this scholarship will also follow the highest QPI requirement, which is that of the president and the merit, which is 3.0 or B. In the same manner that, for example, let's say as funder will only cover the tuition and matriculation, then the QPI will not be of 2.75, that of the academic scholars or St. Ignatius, unless otherwise specified by external funder. So there might be some instances that a funder or a corporation or foundation may cover the entire school fees, and yet they do not really require the standard. Let's say instead of having a 3 for full, then they may require only for a 2.8 or 2.5. That could be done as long as it is stipulated in the agreement between Xavier University and the funder. Next, scholarship retention. Scholarship grant is renewable every semester. So as I've mentioned, we look into your final grades in each semester for you to renew. First, you have to meet the QPI requirement. Again, that's what I mentioned just earlier. And then you should not be having a failing subject. And third, incurring actions contrary to the requirements of the scholarship shall result to the termination of the scholarship. So in your contract, we will be indicating there all the conditions aside from the QPI requirement, of course. and any actions that are contrary to these conditions and terms may result to the termination of the scholarship. Number of scholarship grants. The main idea here is that a scholar should only be enjoying one full scholarship. What do you mean by that? The student shall not hold more than one scholarship grant simultaneously unless two scholarships grants equal together amount to only one full scholarship. So we mean by this that you can hold one or more scholarship if the equivalent of the amount shall cover only one full scholarship. So I have an example here, DOST and XU President Scholarship. DOST is an externally funded scholarship and President is a university one. So what we do here, we deduct first the DOST, which is, I believe, 20,000. And then whatever is net, that will be the amount that your university scholarship will cover. But you still retain all the other privileges by your DOST scholarship, no? And also the allowance for the university. So again, the main idea here is that when you have two scholarships or more, the externally funded scholarship will be deducted first, and what is net will be the amount that will be covered by your university scholarship. Okay, let's go to the failure. Incurring an F or failing a subject despite meeting the required semestral QPI is ground for termination. What do we mean by this? Scholarship is based on your academic performance. So that would mean that the requirement must be demanding such a way that you should not be having a failure subject. But later on, I will also be discussing on chances on appeals and reconsideration. But in general, F or failure subjects are not accepted. Much more if it is failure due to absences. So I will raise this concern. No? So F sometimes is incurred because maybe the subject is just quite tough or maybe very difficult, and the scholar may not be having a good time with the studies. So there are really chances of failing subject. But AF, it's the term that we call for failure due to absences. So you have been absent more than what is allowable in your classes. That connotes something that implies tardiness, and you being scholars, you being enjoying a privilege that is not enjoyed by many. It's not acceptable for you to have an AF. So again, that is subject for termination. Next is degree and program. The scholar should not change course after the award of scholarship. Like, for example, you are officially enrolled already as PS Biology, and then suddenly you realize that you want to enroll in SBM or Commerce. So shifting actually forfeits your scholarship. Second is study load. The scholar should enroll for the required full study load in each semester. And we also would like to emphasize that scholarships are only granted during summer term when indicated in the approved curriculum. There are certain courses that require summer classes. So scholarships are being granted during these terms, but if and only when these are indicated in your approved curriculum. Otherwise, if you're just gonna enroll out of your preference when it is not really required, then you have to pay for these subjects. Okay, so we will now proceed to appeals and reconsideration. So as mentioned earlier, scholars who have failed subjects or did not meet the QPI requirement are given chances to be reconsidered for a valid reason. And the scholar retains the same coverage of grant but is given only a single chance again for reconsideration. What do you mean by this? If, for example, if you are a president scholarship and you did not meet the requirement and you appealed, your coverage will still be the same. But again, as mentioned, reconsiderations are only given once. So what are the appeals for reconsideration requirements? First is that you have to write a letter of appeal to the AEO Director, Sir Ferdinand Cantular, and you have to explain why you incurred these infractions. No? Recommendation letters from Department Chair and Dean. So aside from your letter of appeal, you also have to be recommended by your chairman and your dean. And then third is a counseling slip. Now, during this COVID pandemic, we understand that you will be doing the counseling online. So we need to have a document or certification from the counseling office that you have undergone this counseling. So now I will give you Miss Karen Chris Amila to discuss further our scholarship policies.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Angel, for discussing the different scholarship we administer here in Xavier University. So I am Karen. I will be discussing the process of the renewal of your scholarship. So of course, you need to renew your scholarship every semester. Before that, okay, so I will first introduce to you our official Facebook page, the XCSG Xavier University Scholars Guild Facebook page. So you are all required to like this page because all the announcements, all the links, all the informations will be posted in our Facebook page. So if there are any requirements that we ask for you, you'll just have to check our Facebook page for any announcements. Okay, so for the renewal of your scholarship, this here are the process. First is you need to apply renewal of scholarship through a Google form which will be provided in our Facebook page. Okay, in the Google form link, you need to upload a screenshot of complete grades which you can access through your SLMIS account. Of course, you have your individual SLMIS account, so you just have to go, of course, through your student grades, and then you will have it screenshot and then upload it in a Google form link that will be provided to you. Okay, after we received your complete grades, we will send a notification via email if your scholarship is renewed or terminated. Okay, next, if your status is for reconsideration or you incurred a failing mark and then you opt to appeal for reconsideration, this is only for the for those who are first time to incur infraction on grade requirements. So you can just email the requirements for appeals to scholarships@xu.edu.ph. Okay, so remember that a scholar with an incomplete final mark is not eligible for renewal. Grades should be officially posted in your SLMIS account. Deadline of renewal of your scholarship will be on the last day of the preliminary exams of every semester. So in your case, since in every semester it will be divided into 2 quarters, so the preliminary exams on the first quarter. So temporary grade slips will not be honored. It should be officially posted in your SLMIS accounts. Okay, next, your scholarship contract. So, contracts must be returned to the Admissions and Aid Office on or before final exams in the first quarter. Of course, it will give you your contract. So, the distribution process of this contract will be emailed to all of you, to all the scholars, and then you will have it printed and then signed by your parents. And then, you will upload a clear copy of the signed contract in the Google form that we again provided in our official Facebook page, the XU Scholars Guild Facebook page. Please remember that contracts should be clear and readable. Again, you need to like our Facebook page. For the return service, okay, before this COVID pandemic, scholars were asked to render 10 hours of service in various offices here in the university, but since you are in your home, we have come up to a new way on how to render your 10 hours of service. So in view of the 10 hours of service, the scholar must submit the following. So for the freshmen, you are required to come up a 2-minute promotional video telling why Xavier Ateneo is your school of choice. And for the upperclassmen, you are required to come up with, again, 2-minute video sharing your experiences as Xavier Ateneo scholar. Okay, next I will discuss to you your final clearance. So what is this final clearance? This clearance will be needed for your final exams. You still need to secure a final clearance from AAO. So for the process, scholars will apply for a final clearance again through a Google form provided in our Facebook page. So you will upload there your promotional video and your scholarship contract. You need to return that. So for those of you who forget to upload your contract, you can still submit it on the final exams. So you need to upload your scholarship contract because that will be one of the requirements for you to secure a final clearance slip. After you uploaded your promotional video and your contracts, AAO will email a final clearance to the scholar, which you will present to the finance office. So that's the requirement for your final clearance. Okay, at this point, I will discuss to you how to process the charging of your books and uniforms and the reimbursement process. So, for the charging of books and uniforms, as you all know, for the President Scholars, you are entitled of a 10,000 worth of school uniforms and books. So, you may opt to have it charged in your scholarship. So, the process would be, first is you need to request for books and uniforms from the book center. Google form link will be provided in our XU website. You can access that there. And then you will get a response from your order. After receiving your response from the book center, you need to request for a charge slip from AAO through a Google form link, again, that will be provided in our official Facebook page. So you will need to upload the email response that you received from the order that you made in the Google form from the book center. So after that, you may claim your items on the date that you specified in your order. So please remember that you need to give us at least 3 days, 2 to 3 days to process your order and your charge slip. Please note that on the date that you specified, that's the only date that you will claim your items. Okay? So the distribution of these items will be at SEC Mall building. Next is the reimbursement process. For those of you who have already purchased your books and uniforms, of course, you have your official receipts, so you need to keep that one. So you may ask for refund if you're a President Scholar. The process would be, you need to apply for online processing of reimbursement through a Google form provided in our Facebook page. So you need to upload a scanned copy of your official receipts of purchases for books and uniforms and school supplies. Please remember that official receipts should be in your name. Okay? And then after that, we will review the document. We have to review if the items are allowed for you to have it refund. And if you approve, we will send an email directing you to submit the hard copy of these official receipts. So please keep your official receipts because Finance Office will not honor a scanned copy of these official receipts. We will provide a drop box in our main gate where you can just leave your official receipts, of course, with our response confirming you that your reimbursement is approved and also your official receipts. Okay, so refunds will be deposited in the bank account that you provided in our Google form link if you cannot personally claim your refunds. You will be notified when you can claim your refunds. Okay, at this point, I will give the floor to our director, Sir Freddy, for him to discuss the different responsibilities of scholars.
Thank you so much, Karen, for your presentation. So we focus now into the character and the conduct that a scholar is supposed to have. So first, we hope that you won't misrepresent the data related to your obtaining of the scholarship or the grant. Second is that we expect you to always behave properly being a scholar. The office of the AEO is always very much open to you if you have problems, if you encounter problem. But aside from our office, we actually have scholar mentors in the various colleges now. Okay, let me introduce to you the various scholars mentor in the various colleges. Okay, for the AB Economics Department, we have Professor John Louis E. Sabal. For the English major, we have Professor K. Butoslak. And for the AB History and ABIS, we have Professor Gleport Lagkao. For the Philosophy Department, we have Professor Derek Pimentel. For the AB Sociology and Anthropology, we have Professor Gretchen Abuso. For the BS Biology, we have Professor Vic Moses Tagupa. For the Psychology, we have Professor Reynan Salo. For the BS Chemistry, we have Professor Jo Marie Inerio. For the College of Agriculture, we have Professor Veneranda La Rosa. For the College of Nursing, we have Miss Rosary Marie Villanosa. For the College of Computer Studies, we have Miss Heidi Hakilmak. For the College of Engineering, we have Dr. Hercules Cascon, also himself the Dean of the College of Engineering. For the School of Education, we have Dr. Mia Pebi Aho. For the School of Business and Management, we have Dr. Rostom Ibero, who is himself Assistant Dean of the School of Business and Management. Aside from the organization where you belong, based on your course, we actually have an organization in our among the scholars here in Xavier. We call it Xavier University Scholars Guild. You can actually get involved with them. You can communicate or make contact with them, and it is my wish that and my hope that you will be active in the activities spearheaded by this organization. Okay, let me introduce to you the current officers. Okay, the president is Ms. Justine K. Orcadilla. The vice president is Ms. Jonica Kabungkal. The secretary is Ms. Joy Camille Maglungsod. The treasurer, Mr. Darl James Gallianero. Auditor, Ms. Roylyn Joy Carlos. The cast representatives are Ms. Cristel Manila and April Joy Jubita. SBM representative, Mr. J. Ryan Lumpon. SOE representative, Ms. Hazel Kabutan. It has been said that when you are given more, more is expected of you. So your scholarship actually is a given, it's a blessing, as what I have mentioned at the beginning. So let's proceed now to important responsibilities that you need to look into. Okay, first is you have to prioritize your study. So I think you really have to work on this, because if you want to maintain your scholarship, I know that there are some courses which are really extremely challenging. There are subjects that are really challenging. So in order to hurdle them, and we really expect you that you'll be able to finish your studies here in Xavier as a scholar. And for you to do that, I think you really have to prioritize your studies. So you really have to put not only your mind, but your heart into your study. The second is be actively involved and willing to assist in any activities called for by Xavier University and the AAO. As of the moment now, we know that we are experiencing the pandemic, and some of these activities, they might be online. So still we expect you to be active even if the activities are online. So part of that is you have to keep abreast with the Scholars Guild Facebook page by regularly looking into it, so you will be kept posted with our activity. And then secure clearance from the AEO before taking the final exam. We also expect you to consult with the guidance counselor at least a semester. So I think they are actually offering an online service for this school year. And then we also expect you to submit on time to our office a copy of your final marks every semester. So you really have to do this. Your scholarship will be renewed. And then we also expect you to attend the annual Scholars Orientation, and this is what we are doing now. Same with the General Assembly. Here in Xavier Ateneo, we do not only develop the intellect of our students, particularly the scholars, but we also try to develop their moral and spiritual sensibility. And this is why we want to encourage you to consciously internalize the Xavier Ateneo values. One of these values is magis. So magis actually it means more, no? But on the other hand, it also means depth, no? Depth. So meaning to say we have to go deeper, no? So we have to do research, we have to investigate, and we have to use the internet for academic and research purposes. So that's magis, going deeper. Another value is cora personalis, or personal care, especially among scholars. You can actually help each other. You cannot do it on your own, no? You have to have other people with you, aside from your parents, aside from your teachers. You have to make friends with the other scholars, so you will be able to help each other. The other one is finding God in all things. So this is a very important Jesuit principle, especially today, in the time of pandemic. Our situation right now is quite difficult. So we really have to find God in all things. So we would be strengthened and remain positive, despite of all the difficulties that we are encountering at this point of time. And then we have the value of becoming a person for others. And this is actually an XU label, no? Becoming person for others. That we don't only look into ourselves, but we also look at the other people, especially your fellow scholars. And of course, we have also tried to develop, instill among ourselves excellence, not only in the area of the academics, but also in terms of character, and of course competence, that we don't only have what we learn in our minds or in our head, but we're able to really use them for good purposes. And then the last of these values is conscience. We should be a person of conscience. So it is my wish that you'll be able to integrate all these Xavier Ateneo values gradually into yourself. Okay, once again, I would like to thank you for your presence. I hope that your study here in Xavier Ateneo is joyous and a productive journey. Once again, thank you
And welcome.
Xavier Ateneo.